Hello and welcome to Operation Popcast, where we dive into the rewarding yet challenging journey of fatherhood while balancing demanding careers. Join us as we share real stories, practical advice, and meaningful conversations about being present and an engaged father. Today, I'm chatting with Brandon. Brandon is a paramedic, also in the Air Force Reserves as an aeromedical flight technician, and a dad, right?
That's right, man.
A dad of how many?
2.
A father of 2. Awesome. Well, thanks for chatting with me. I want to get started. You know, normally we talk about careers, life as a father. So let's kind of get started with kind of paint me a picture of Brandon post-high school, maybe a year post-high school.
Sure. A year post-high school I was just going to the local community college, trying out different classes, seeing what was sticking. I really didn't have a direction that I was going in one path or the other, but I was fortunate through most of my life I was pretty lucky to have good mentors. And so my uncle, he was working at a full-time fire department here, and he was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" He said, "Come on down, come check this out, and why don't you come just do a ride along?" And that was he was a paramedic, so I did. I took him up on it. I think he had to do some prompting along the way. I was just like following up because, I was like 19, 20 years old, just didn't really have much direction.
Sure.
So anyway, he talked me into coming down there, and it was one day on just doing a ride along with the fire department, and that was it, man. I got the bug, and so that would have been 2009 timeframe. 2010, I got back after that ride along, and the next day, I think I was enrolled in an EMT program, just trying to move forward with that. And so that's where I got that bug for EMS, is kind of when it all started.
It happened that fast after the ride along, huh?
That fast, man. The whole, just the atmosphere, what we were doing, or just not even what I was doing, right? Because I was just there observing, but it was watching what they do and how they're helping people, and it was just it was like, wow, I could do this.
So during that ride along, that's kind of what captivated you to the career field, is just walking around and you're helping the community that's calling for you.
That was it, man. And I thought it was so cool that, you got a serious job to do when the tones go off. You go do the thing. You go help people. You're having just whatever complex situation you can drum up. And now, I mean, both of us have been doing EMS long enough to where you think you see something, and then the world just surprises you, man. And it always keeps you on your toes. And so I got a little glimpse of that on just that one ride along, and it was it. Took off from there.
So it seems like you're describing a department. You did a ride along with a department that does both fire and EMS. Not every department does that. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. So they do both. And so the way that they were set up was, if you were, all of them were firefighters, and they also have sort of a set crew for that day that goes and will do ALS, or advanced life support 911 calls, where they actually they'll go assess the patient, treat as needed, and then they also transport.
Okay, transport to the emergency room.
That's correct.
The hospital.
Yeah,
okay,
to the hospital.
That's awesome. So it sounds like it was pretty impactful on you as a young lad. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, that I still look back. So that's, what was that, 15 years ago now? So
oh, wow.
15 years ago. And I could still remember it to this day. And that's really what the catalyst was to the whole progression of everything after that.
So if someone, well, let's just talk about you. So you had this bug. Shortly after, you started to pursue education in it. What is that? Tell me about that.
So when I went through and I started, I enrolled through the local technical college that was close to me. I was going to the community college at the time. I transferred over to the technical college. So we had one semester full of learning BLS, or basic life support skills. So we got to kind of dissect everything from a basic medical assessment, really what does an EMT do, diving into the equipment, learning about it, and then obviously ultimately testing for the National Registry to become an EMT basic.
National Registry, what's that?
So the National Registry is really the guiding overview of kind of what this sets a standard for what EMTs do. There's advanced EMTs, there's EMRs, so emergency medical responders, and then there's also paramedics. And so that kind of has a set curriculum of here's a basis of what everybody should know, and then that's where we kind of get our foundation knowledge from. And they kind of oversee everybody's every 2 years you recertify because you obtain a certification, and so that's a national certification. And so they kind of teach you that foundation level stuff to be able to go out and start helping people.
Oh, interesting. So you're describing different tiers of what education, is that right?
Yeah, different education, different knowledge base. So, I guess the counterparts of in the hospital setting would be like LPNs, so and then RNs. So a lot of people are familiar with what nurses do, and you have technicians in the hospital. So there's just different certification levels, different education requirements. So for us currently at the national level is the paramedic certification.
Gotcha. Okay. And does every community in the U.S., every community has these different levels, or are people working specifically at one level and they just don't have it? Kind of explain that.
So it's different. It's different from community to community. It's different from state to state. There isn't one standard that one community must have a paramedic. It's nothing like that. So it's really it's sort of up to what those levels of service are provided in certain areas. So sometimes you have like in Minnesota we have PSAs. So those are like your service areas that you provide. So in there, a lot of times the companies that or counties or whomever, the cities that own those primary service areas, they're responsible for maintaining a certain level of response. So, but it can be very different from a different state over who maybe only has your first responder. I shouldn't say only, because I don't want to get that idea in there that it's one is less so than the other. We're all one team. But they are staffed for EMTs, or maybe they're staffed for EMR, and a different agency comes in and can transport at a paramedic level or an advanced EMT. So not everybody's the same.
Sure.
It's a big mixed bag of what you're going to get.
It seems like communities would want that paramedic level trained person in their community responding to their families.
I think certainly the ones that have it. Yeah, I don't want to assume what communities do or don't want, but I think those who have potentially had to have an ambulance ride before, or if you just think about, if you want that highest level of care, is that available to you? So, but there's certainly a lot of times where you've probably heard of where it's BLS over ALS and BLS first. So It's your basic life support before you ever get to your advanced level skills. And we still adhere to that. It's still, even if you get into a situation, you get on scene and you don't know what to do, you always revert back to your basics.
Yeah. Yeah, that can be said about quite a lot of different things, huh?
Absolutely.
So you said you've been working you are a paramedic, a licensed paramedic, and you've been doing that for how long?
I have been a paramedic since 2014, so what's that, 11 years now?
Wow,
so,
okay.
And I am a critical care paramedic with the organization that I'm with, and I'm also, I'll back up. When I started my full-time, a big boy job with where I'm at now, I started as an EMT. I was finishing up medic school, and they were fortunate enough to offer me a job. Somehow I got accepted there. And so I started as an EMT, and then they were kind enough to let me finish school. And once I got my certification, I would transition into the role of a paramedic with that company. And then kind of the same time, about two years later, I moved into the role of operations supervisor, critical care paramedic, and then now today, for the last 2 years or so, I've been an operations supervisor, and I still maintain my critical care paramedic.
So when you send an email to someone, you have your name and then a whole long list of letters and a brief.
No, man, I'm not that cool. My long list of letters is pretty short. So
Sure.
as long as I spell my name right, I think I'm doing all right.
Awesome. So, and I heard you say you work for an organization. Now, my understanding is you, as a paramedic, you can either work for a city or a private organization. Can you kind of unpack that a little bit?
Yeah. So depending on, again, where you are and what's available in your area, and again, state to state does it very differently. For around here, you have different city departments, you have county entities, and then you have private, not-profit services as well. So that's where I find myself, where we're not-for-profit and not belonging to a hospital-based system. So I still look at us as we're a small business. We're less than 100 people.
Sure. Okay. Wow. So what did you say, 11 years as a paramedic?
11 years, yeah.
So you know what I'm going to ask you next.
What you got?
Craziest call you've ever been on.
Oh, man.
How many times have you been asked that? 10,000 times?
1,000 probably, right? Craziest call. I think one of the, if I had to pick one that, I don't know if this is necessarily the craziest, but I think just the way everything worked out, where it was everything lined up as it should that day, where, often we go out and it's every kind of weather imaginable. And so on this call, we were helping out somebody that had fallen from a pretty high ledge on a rock face, and it was a critical patient. And so when we got there, it was already, hey, we're gonna we were fortunate. We work really closely with the other first responder agencies in our area. So the local fire department, they're first responders, firefighters. So they're getting out there and they're doing the rescue to get the patient up to us. We're down there. We'd already called for air, so we've got air coming. And it was a day that everything, again, they were able to fire right up, come over to us. We were there ready to accept the patient. And so it was just all hands on deck, where the patient lived. So that, and the way it worked out just for the best was because all of these things lined up, that the first responders, the initial first responders on scene, were able to have their equipment. They're obviously highly trained. They get down to the patient, stabilize, package, bring over to us down the river. We're waiting there, stationed, ready to intubate. We get the intubation. We get, bleeding stopped, intubation. We're starting our level of care. And then we are handing off right away to a flight crew that's spun up just up the road, ready to rip. And then they get the patient where they need to go. So to me, anyway, it was just everything had to work, and the patient survived because of that.
Wow. Intubation, you said. That's like what they do in surgery, right? Put a tube down someone's throat. You guys are doing that as paramedics out in the field.
We do that, man. And and I think a lot of that is, to me, I think a lot of people know what nurses do in a hospital. And I think even today, a lot of folks still don't know what we do in an ambulance, or what we carry, or what our capabilities are. And I still have today where, we'll do what are called interfacility transfers. So we'll take a patient from one hospital and bring them to another hospital if they need a higher echelon of care, if they need a certain procedure that's only done in a certain hospital, or they just need more capabilities that current hospital doesn't provide. And we'll show up, and the family, rightfully so, is asking, is anybody going to be in the back with my family member as you guys go to the hospital? And and in that moment, you're like, you've got to be kidding. Like, what? Like, what do you think we do? But I get it. Like,
you don't just drive ambulances and push cots around.
We don't just drive ambulance, man. We try to get so far away to the ambulance drivers, and we're good about making fun of ourselves and using that joke all the time. But it's at least our opportunity to educate the community members of what we do and show them, and that's what we try to do, man, is get out there and be embedded in the community so that they know, even if they never need us, that we're going to be there for them. And we're out, we're on standby 24/7, 365.
So, okay. And you're working as a paramedic,
But in the Air Force as well, are you doing something? Explain to me what an aeromedical evacuation technician is, because from what I'm seeing, it looks kind of similar to what you're doing as a paramedic, huh?
So yeah, a lot of similarities in terms of and differences, but I think a lot of what makes this career field unique is being able to take people from different backgrounds and different medical backgrounds or not, but and put them together as one team. So our role, by and large, is to take the sick and injured from wherever they are and fly them to, again, that higher echelon of care while maintaining that same level of care that they were getting wherever they were at. And so we get to work, like I'm much more familiar and comfortable with the acute setting of injury or illness and trying to take care of that patient. Mm-hmm. And so in the air, it can be sometimes, depending on your area of responsibility, it may be a short flight. We're talking 30 minutes, but you could also have a flight that's, you're caring for somebody for 8, 9, 10, 11 hours.
So, okay, that sounds like a long flight. I was picturing flights in a helicopter, but that's not correct.
Correct. Our bread and butter is fixed wing transport. So your jet planes set up to accept medical patients in the air, and that's what we do.
Okay. And for those aviation nerds listening, what kind of frames are you flying in?
So we typically fly in C-130s, C-17s, and KC-135s, and a lot of times it depending on where you're at, you're in a C-17, which is it's a beautiful plane. It's a big boy. It's always set up for us. It's super nice. Lots of lights. Everything we could ever ask for.
Sure.
You got oxygen ready for you. And then, but the fun one is the C-130. I'm biased though. So
sure, of course. It sounds like that's kind of what you were raised in, huh?
Yep. That was what. Okay. That's where I started.
Man, so if you're saying you're maintaining the care they're getting in the hospital, you're basically flying around in a mobile hospital.
It is, and we have to train to set up and prepare for taking care of these patients. So we're going from potentially just a nothing set up in the aircraft to making sure we set it up so that it's ready for us to load these patients up and go.
That sounds really cool.
I mean, I think so.
How did you?
Again, I'm biased, so
yeah, of course. How did you know this was a job?
I didn't. Everything, and whether it's like my career up to this point I think it was a combination of lucky timing and then just diving at opportunities. And so I had got my EMT, and that would have been 2010, and I knew shortly after that I'm like, you know what, I still wanted to serve. I wanted to go in when I was 18. I was originally gonna take off in the Army and go on about my way, and life happened, and that didn't happen. But a few years down the road, I'd got this EMT, and I was like, you know what, I still want to go back in, and I've got this cool certification. I'm gonna put it to use, and if I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna figure out a way to fly and take care of patients in the back of some type of flight. At the time I didn't know the difference between rotor or dust off and fixed wing. So.
But flying is something you knew you wanted to do.
Yeah, man, I just want to do some cool shit.
Yeah,
if I was going to do it, I was going to put my all into to go find and do something above the average of what I was going to do on the civilian side. So I just started looking, and there wasn't a lot of info out at the time. And I think, I'd gotten a recruiter who kind of steered me in one direction, and it's kind of a funny story. At the time when I was going in and got qualified, I went through MEPS and all that. And
MEPS, what's MEPS?
So MEPS is where you go do you make sure you're physically fit to be able to enter the military service.
Okay, so this is like boot camp?
Not even boot camp; it's before boot camp. So this is what's going to catch you, when you're going in and they want to find everything about you, and so I go through MEPS, and I get the blessing to go in, and I go back to the recruiter, and he's like, hey, we were talking about this flying job. The spots just filled up. Oh. But I got these other jobs you can pick. Now, you can come in and you can start these other jobs, And then, you know what, you can just transfer as soon as another spot opened up. So he passed me the sheets, and I was like, pest control management. what? No, man. I'm
give
good.
a rat CPR,
right?
right?
I was like,
Get
no,
the lead
man,
out.
I don't think this is my wheelhouse. So I passed out. I respectfully said no, thank you, and strolled on about my way. And but then, just because I was stubborn, I talked to a different recruiter, and they got me in down the street at a different squadron that had openings, and that was it, man. That's where I took off.
Oh, cool.
I came in for an interview. I think I contacted the recruiter within 3 days. I was in at an interview, and fortunately it was accepted, and away we went.
Wow. Okay. Away you went to basic training.
Yeah. So I went to basic training. Being from Minnesota, I love the cold, like the fall. So I'm like, hey, all right, so we're going to do this strategically. I'm going to enlist in the winter, or leading into the winter.
I bet you didn't go to a cold place, did you?
You damn right I did. So they held on to me for 6 months, and I shipped June 21st to basic training in San Antonio, Texas. So I got to spend my summer in one of the hotter
cold heart of
places.
Texas.
Yeah. And so you go to basic training and get through that, and then for us, we have the extra parts of our schooling where we go learn. Now, I was already an EMT, so when I came in, so they let me, I forget what they call it, basically proctor the course so that I could use it for every 2 years. You have to upkeep your certification. So they let me I basically sat through the class. I didn't have to take any tests or anything, but I just helped the other students and, my other peers, and helped them pass the testing at the end. And I got to get continuing education credit to go towards my certification. So that was
cool.
good to
Okay.
go.
Win-win.
And after that, we spent another, I want to say I'm probably going to get the weeks wrong, but 8 weeks, or double that time, 8 to 10 weeks, going over sort of in hospital kind of treatment and care options and things like that for patients. So you do that. And once you get your blessing, you go to a military hospital and actually do some clinical education training where you're just, you're embedded with.
Oh, that's kind of
those
cool.
guys and gals. Yeah. And they have you come in, and you,
so you're right alongside wounded warriors, legitimate wounded warriors.
yeah. And it's cool. Like you get to see a mix of people that are, have been wounded, or they're returning from somewhere, or even just veterans around the local area, so that they come in for care. And so, or they're, or active duty dependents, if it comes in and it's their family members. So you're getting to get that hands-on experience so that you're ready to go.
That's got to be kind of cool. You're sitting across the way from a guy or girl that just got wounded.
It's humbling.
Doing their job somewhere in the world.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, I very much like to have a passion about what I'm doing. And that makes it a lot easier for me to dive into my work, or as long as I have some goal in mind, I'm goal driven and oriented. So being able to, when you meet some of these guys and gals, whether they're wounded or if they're sick, I find it to be a great service and a pleasure to be able to just take care of these folks, because especially for what they've done for us, if they're wounded or sick, it doesn't matter. That's part of our family. And so we get the chance to take care of them and help them out, and hopefully, obviously, see them continue to progress and get better, and return back to what that next step of life looks like.
Yeah, I can hear the passion in your voice as you kind of talk about it a little bit. Caring for people, for the less fortunate, for the wounded. Where does that come from? Where do you think that started?
I don't know. I don't know necessarily where it all initially began. I think for me, when I started in this, I'll steal my boss's line. Always kind of said this, it's his line, so I'm just going to shamelessly steal it. But he always said, I got into this as a job. I think originally when I started, this was a job, even though we talk about the ride along and I got the bug, and it was, I think it was just a cool job. You get to go help these people.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a job that then turned into my career. And I think over time I've learned to develop just an appreciation for what we get to do, because I think it's unique. I don't think everybody gets to, get to have that opportunity when, and I think back to when I first started, it's, you're going to be there for somebody on their worst day, right? And you're there to try to help them a little bit. And I think that's unique.
Mm.
People are trusting you to come into their homes or take care of them when they're ripped up on the side of a road somewhere, or they're hurt, they're injured, they're scared. And you get to be the person who has to face whatever you're going to look at when you look down at that person. And you mentally put that aside so you can keep doing your job, but you help them. And that's the bottom line of what we're there for. And so I think it was just elevated when I got into the military side, coming from a family with good, strong roots to the military. And I think it was just an added element of that, where now you're just taking care of people that are now in my family, and people that fight for me, or they care for me. And now I get to take care of them to where we help them out.
Seems like you've cultivated a space of true vulnerability, authenticity. I would say maybe not a lot of people get to experience that at their job, in their work.
No, I'm lucky, man. Whether it's at my civilian work or Air Force side of things, is I don't have a bad day when I go to work. Yes, I have bad days, but overall, I enjoy what I do, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Mm. How do you take that provider side of yourself and lean into it as a new father?
Yeah, and I think, I hope being a dad, or being whether I'm working or if I'm dad, I hope that I always try to be mindful. The goal is always, if I'm good at one, it's helping me at the other.
Mm.
And so if I'm being a good dad and I'm at home and I'm practicing patience and I'm practicing, good listening, that just translates to my work, or vice versa. If I'm at home, or if I'm at work and I come home, that I can have that same level of patience, and I can have empathy, and I can, as tired as we may be as parents sometimes, when things come up, that you can take a breath, take a beat, and circle back on it, and just keep being present.
You are speaking with the tone of a parent that has young kids at home?
Yeah, and I should back up. When you'd ask me, I'm a dad of two. I'm a dad of three, and we lost our daughter last year, my wife and I, and she was born she had, but even prior to birth, what was called campomelic dysplasia. And so she was basically, her body didn't develop cartilage like normal. And so cartilage is throughout your entire body. And so the big one that was affecting her, obviously, was the development of her airway. And so she did not have a strong airway when she was born. And we knew that. We knew that going into it. And so now, even beyond that, just being dad at home is the best thing ever, man.
Wow. That's something that, my wife and I have not experienced, the loss of a child. I know there are people that I orbit around in my world that have gone through something like that. What does the loss of a child do to your marriage?
If you let it, it'll make you, not if you let it, if you work on it, it'll make you stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously I don't wish that on anyone. And, grief is everyone's own unique thing to go through. And so for us, it was for me, to my wife, was a lot of patience and understanding, and knowing that for both of us, we go through these roller coasters and to this day, and so it for us, it made us stronger. It made us better communicators, because we had to talk through all that. We had to talk through the grief. We had to process it in our own ways. And so, but in the end, I do believe that it's made us stronger, because look, man, there was nothing worse than going through that day of losing her. And so when she was born, they told us, there's a greater than 90% chance that she was going to pass during the delivery. And between my wife and I think there's no lack of stubbornness and just an overwhelming drive. So she made it through the delivery, and 2 hours after she was born. And so she was just the strongest human that I've ever witnessed. And so, and it's carried on where to now, again, my wife is one of, if not the strongest person I know to basically have to deal with that grief, and she just keeps crushing it, man. And I get to watch and be amazed, and and she obviously when I was feeling down, she's there to pick me up, and it just becomes it's such a team effort. And it's nothing that I ever would ever want or wish upon anyone ever to experience something like that. And I think for us, it made us stronger in the end, but it was a lot of work. I mean, it was you're putting in work, man. A lot of patience, a lot of listening, and a lot of understanding to know that you're going to ride these waves where it feels better, and you're like, hey, you come to peace with it, and then it's you're laying down for bed, and you just break down.
Mm-hmm. So you and your wife, you had 2 hours with your daughter.
We did, yeah.
All in a hospital setting, surrounded by staff.
Yeah, and
are you okay with kind of describing what's going on in the room?
Yeah, I think I will say my full hats off to the University of Minnesota kids, the Minneapolis kids hospital staff. That's where we were with Amelia, and they were rock stars. I mean, they talked us through everything. They took care of us, and then when she was born, they made it very clear prior to her being born that, like, they were going to leave the room, and they were going to give us that space to be with her. And I think the one thing that I remember obviously vividly was when was being able to take my daughter, and the only sunlight she ever got to see was through a hospital window, but it was me. I got to carry her over there, and I was like, hey, let's go hang out for a while. And so we just sat by the window, and it was a cloudy, just shit day outside, and she was born, and that sun came through, man. And so we just got to sit there and enjoy it for a minute. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, just having that time as a family to sit there and marvel at her. She was a cute kid, man. She was gorgeous, just full head of hair. She had my wife's hair, and I was like, you would, you couldn't. Not one blonde hair on that kid, man.
Yeah.
So she was gorgeous. So, and she was so strong and just a fighter.
I was going to say, for a little comic relief, for those of you listening, we got a lot of audio, not a lot of video, but yeah, it's probably a good thing she got your wife's hair, huh?
She sure. I mean, I don't have as much of it as when I first
but it looks good.
Met, but it looks good, man.
Yeah.
It's good, yeah. It's not
keep
as
it
good
tight.
It's not as good as hers, but
man.
But so it was overall, I would say, saddest day of my life, and also it ends up being a very positive thing when you get to look back. It's still to today, and you get hit with it. It ain't fair. It's not fair, and it hits you, and the grief overtakes you again, and you keep pressing forward.
Mm-hmm. you said you had your family in the room. Your other daughter was in the room as well?
No, we did not have her in there. And right, wrong, or indifferent. So we didn't have her there. So it was me, my wife, and then her mom. And she gave us some space as well. And so she was there, and, staff were coming to check on us and things like that. But really it was the two of us.
Coming home from that experience, you and your wife are going through grief, whatever stages, whether it be the same stage, different stages. How did you find the strength to parent during that grief?
Fortunately, so my 5-year-old, she's just a rock star, man. She and so my 5-year-old is from a previous marriage, and we co-parent well, and my daughter, our 5-year-old, she is just she's one of the most mature, sassy, just fiery little kids, and so understanding and so sweet. So when we came home, picked her up, and she had already known. She had already known that it didn't look great for baby sister to come home, and that to me, I think I held it together at the hospital. And I might get a little choked up even now just because I'm thinking about it again. But telling her was by far the hardest thing I've ever done. And so, but she's such just a force in her own right that she grieved with us, and I don't know, there's no book on it, and we spent a lot of time over the next weeks and months just doing family stuff, man. And so living and loving those moments, and being able to enjoy the time as a family. We went up to the cabin, did some fishing. That's where I learned that it wasn't about me getting to go fishing anymore. Now I was the line and the take the fish off the hook kind of guy. So that was my role. And so we just got to dive back into we put our efforts into just being a strong family, and it was game night, and we have our rule at the dinner table where no phones, and believe me, I give my 5-year-old that task of, hey, you make sure no phones out. She's going to make sure it happens. And so we have no phones, and we talk about what was the best part of everybody's day, and we go around the table and we talk about it as we're having dinner. No TVs on, no phones, no distractions. We just have dinner, and I think that was one of the coolest things that we've done to really come together as a family.
Yeah, I can imagine an experience like that. You walk away from it, obviously keeping it close to your heart, but knowing the time you get as a family is, you must just look at it differently. Like, it's so precious and so important. Not that you didn't see it that way before, but
it really highlights it. It puts it right back to the forefront of what really matters. And so when we were talking a little earlier about, being at work and being home, being a dad, and it really, for me, it really solidified. I still have my own goals and dreams and ambitions and things like that, but the best title that I'll ever have is dad, and dad's going to be first. So it's, if we talk about, signing emails, if I could, it would just be dad up there, right? That's the most important certification I've got, man. So everything else is secondary to that, for sure.
Well, I can't take credit for this statement, but I can say that, having heard this statement from another source, the 2 hours that you got with Amelia, I can imagine that in those moments, the only thing she felt was love from her parents. And in that short amount of time, arguably, she lived the perfect life.
Yeah.
Which, who can say that? Who can say that about themselves?
Right. And I think, I believe it. I believe that is true, man. I don't think you could say it any better than that.
No.
And I think too, for us, we're fortunate. I'm not good about asking for help. A lot of us aren't. And so it was our family, our friends who helped us out during that time. And, whether it was making meals, dropping a phone call, dropping a line, or just, people, one, they gave us our space, but they also gave us, their help and their, just touching base with us, man. And that made me, rethink, and just makes you want to be better when people are reaching out to you like that and taking care of you.
Yeah, it's easy to maintain maybe the worst part of yourselves in solitude. So it sounds like you've got a really good community around you. I'd hope that for anybody. I'd hope everybody's got a great community surrounding them.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think you got to take care of each other, and you find the people that some people can do it really well. They can have a big, community, or a big, family, not even if it's family, just, friends that you keep. And as long as you can have those strong relationships and take care of each other, then more power to you, and lean on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's not easy to do.
Yeah. Well, and now jumping into today, right? You said a family of 5.
Yeah, we got our little boy at home, man.
A boy.
A little boy, yep, which is a whole new set of rules and a whole new set of curveballs. So we're lucky. He's healthy, he's happy, he's just gotten to that stage, where he's recognizing faces, and I think we just heard a belly laugh for the first time.
Oh, he's low miles.
Oh yeah, he's still got that warranty on him. I think. I don't think you can I think you can bring him back. But
how old is he?
He is 3 months.
Oh, wow,
so he he's been great, man. It's been fun to just watch him grow from, and it's crazy. You look at him every day, and you just don't even. You come home from work, and you're like, where'd you learn that? Where'd you pick that up? When did you start rolling? When did you start grabbing stuff and smiling and laughing? So just every day is a new thing.
Those baby belly laughs, they take away any bad day.
Right? You can't have a bad day. It's just like somebody on a jet ski. You can't frown on a jet ski.
Wow, man. Yeah, that's great. And so I want to back up a little bit. I'm sorry. I should have asked this earlier, but your wife, how long you guys been married? How'd you meet? 2 loaded questions in a row.
Oh, we had met, we met in the Air Force, and then it was wild in terms of just the short time. I feel like I've lived a decade in the last year and a half to 2 years. So we started dating the end of 2022, and then a few short months I was like, look, we know where this is going, and I proposed to her, and I was like, hey, all right, we're gonna do the engaged thing for a while as we kind of slow down life and kind of get our feet under us. And she's like, well, what if you think we just get married this year? I'm like, well, look, if you can find a venue, I tell you what, by all means. Which, knowing how just driven she is, she went out and found the venue. So there it was in September 1st, 2023, and we got married. And then shortly thereafter, again, we were expecting Amelia, and then after that was our baby boy.
Wow. Yeah, classic fiance move, right? Just, hey, why don't you go ahead and see what you can find for a venue. Yeah. Oh, flowers too.
Well, I'm like, there's no way, right? I'm like, we're talking like the springtime already. I'm like, it's not going to happen. There's no way I'm good for at least until 2024. And hats off to her, man. She pulled it off.
Wow. Yeah. Sounds like love, man.
And
Sounds like love.
And when you know, you know. So it worked out good.
Wow, that's great. Huh. So, man, you've got some experiences as a young dad. Some pretty heavy ones. Something I'm trying to make a theme of each episode is if you could take a stratospheric lens and you're looking at different, whether they be aspiring dads, young dads, experienced dads, if you could take a moment and give them one piece of advice, something that you've learned through your pain, your tribulations, your seasons of fatherhood already, what do you think you would tell that young man?
The thing that I guess what keeps popping in my head is keep showing up, keep being present, and you're never going to be perfect, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way, and some days you're going to get frustrated, and some days you're going to be working and feeling like you're spread thin, but you keep showing up, keep putting in the work, and working on, you put your family first and you prioritize them, and you're going to be amazed at how it pays off.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said. Well, God bless you, man. God bless your family. Thank you so much for sitting down with me and chatting.
Yeah, thanks, brother. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
This is awesome what you're doing, and I'm super proud of you.
Yeah, thanks for being vulnerable. Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay, man. Fly safe.
Appreciate you.